She Needs My Seed, the most wanted, believe it or not, is the ninth game in the Need for My Seed franchise. As of today, we have more than 30 Need for My Seed games. There are more Need for Seed than there are Seed for My Need. Wait, what the fuck? Yet, Most Wanted 2005 has always been the most talked about one. And it probably has the most active players out of any other Need for My Seed title. But there's no way of knowing that because the game can't be purchased legally online. And I don't think it will ever be legally available because re-releasing the game would mean they have to get license for each car in the game. And why would they do that when they can make another Need for Speed title? The footage you are seeing on the screen is probably from 2007, I don't know. Maybe it's just a fabrication of reality. Maybe I tricked your mind using hypnosis, binaural beats and AI. The game which is available to play right now is Most Wanted 2012. They share the same title, but just like Uranus and Uranus, one of them can be touched. If it's legally available, I won't be directly comparing both games because Most Wanted 2012 is not a remake. It's supposed to be a sequel, but it's a lot different. Let's talk about Most Wanted 2005 first. I think one of the biggest reasons for the success of this game is Mia.
Bolt on or not, that ride is hot.
She needs my seed ASAP. If she is still bleeding or not, I don't care. I want progression. I'm not an expert in racing games, so I don't know how other racing games do progression. But in this game, progression is like an action RPG. First, they give you a class to choose from. In this case, a car, which is customizable. Then they introduce you to the enemies in the open world.
Oh, so cute!
In this case, races, milestones and bounties. As you defeat normal enemies, you get resources which you can use to upgrade your character or car. And eventually you will make enough progress to fight a boss, which in this case is a blacklist racer. And rinse and repeat. Defeating a blacklist racer gives you some rewards. There are 6 rewards to choose from. 3 of them tells you what they are, and the other 3 are mystery rewards. But you can only choose 2. Out of the 3 mystery rewards, one of them is a pink slip, which is blacklisted car. So you have 2 by 3 or 66.66% chance of getting a pink slip and 0% chance of getting slippery pink.
I know your favorite car is BMW.
If you really want to get all the blacklisted cars, you can turn off the auto save, and if you don't get the pink slip, press Alt F4 and then race him again. But that is cheating. Most of them will be available in the shop as you defeat blacklisted racers. I have a problem of overthinking, so what I do is, suppose I get a pink slip from the first one, so next time I will choose the other 2 because there are less chances of getting the pink slip from the same one again. But then every 4th try, I repeat my choice because chances of you getting the pink slip from the same one is less, but it is possible. I know that I can be an actual psychopath and my brain needs to be studied, but it works so well for some reason. I hate it. I love it. There are 7 race types in this game. Asian, black, white, woman, polygon.
Who the fuck is that?
As I explain them, I will also rank them. Sprint. Pretty simple, compete against 4 cars. Whoever finishes the first wins. I usually finish in the loading screen or even before that, so it's unlosable for me. These races are S tier, short, simple and sweet, just like my cousin. Circuit, everybody knows lap race. Instead of going point A to point B, it's a loop. I usually avoid these because they are the longest in the game, and going through same route 3 times makes it kinda boring in my opinion. Also, the rubber bands in these races are the most common. If you aren't familiar with the term rubber band, allow me to fill you in. Why is that a normal sentence? In some racing games, if you get too much lead over your opponents, they will go over speed limits. They'll start turning corners as if they are on rails and eventually catch up to you. And sometimes they won't slow down even after overtaking you. So you could be driving Carrera GT
Audio Jungle.
and a Punto will fly by you as if Drake is driving to meet his side chick as young as possible.
Don't talk to me, talk to these people. It's about these people right here.
This is not me driving the car, this is an in-game AI. I used some mods to get ahead of them by few laps. And you can see the cars are going so fast that it sounds like the engine is crying. Reminds me of that one time when my friend lost a bet and ended up getting it raw. He cried the same way. Here is another one. I don't know why the model isn't fully loaded. Now this car ended up crashing because the world around it is rendered, but during the race it will phase through everything. This gentleman explains everything about rubber band. These races are B2C tier depending on the amount of laps and how long they are. But if you have the version 1.2 of the game, you can do the speedrun strat. In the custom tab, you can decrease the amount of laps to 1 and this setting will carry over to your main game. Remember, it only works if you have version 1.2 or older. Lap knockout. Any lap from any race can knock me out, to be honest.
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片，在香港制作。
Lap race, but every lap, whoever is last gets knocked out. Literally the same thing, but with the risk of getting knocked out. C tier. Speed trap. This is an interesting one and one of my favorites. So there are speed cams randomly placed on the track and you compete to get the highest accumulated speed record at multiple traffic cams. If you have higher overall score, but someone else reaches the finish line first, you can still win, but it will slowly decrease your points. Traps are also S tier for me. As long as you don't find out it's a trap, it ain't gay. As long as you have a car with a nitro, there will be no problem. Sometimes the speed cams are at the most annoying spots where you have to slow down, but it's for everyone. Toll booth. Race against time. There are checkpoints you have to reach before the timer runs out. It's the most chill race in the game. Literally a therapy session. You always have enough time as long as you don't crash, but these are usually longer than sprint and speed trap. Some of them are really long, like this one is 32 kilometers, which is the entire map. Also, sometimes you can get spotted by a cop car. It can happen in any of the race events, but it happens in this one the most. And depending on the heat level, this toll booth can easily become an involuntary kissing booth. And after finishing the race, you will have to evade the cops, which makes it even longer. Still A tier for me because you can choose any car with low heat level and you'll be fine. Drag. These nuts of all races because it's the worst of them all. I cannot explain drag races. No one can. I don't understand how they work exactly, but I'll tell you what I know. These are the shortest and straightest races in the game, but with manual transmission. And you have to perfectly time your gear shift, which is completely fine to me. In fact, I was planning to play the entire game with manual transmission, but I didn't. We'll talk about that later. And lastly, it has scripted traffic, meaning the traffic will always be the same, no matter how many times you try it. So what's the problem? It should be the easiest race in the game. You see, a minor problem with this race is you can't control the fucking car. I mean, sometimes you can. That's why it's so hard to explain. Also, if you crash, you have to retry. You can get away with the collision if you are slamming on the brakes, but then you will lose anyways. You can watch any of the YouTube tutorials, but none of them explains why you can't steer half of the time, and they all fuck up at some point. It's kind of a puzzle you have to solve by trial and error, and you have to find when to steer and which way. It's tempting to do this race because it seems to be the shortest, but you will fail so many times before getting it that it's always better to do other ones. To be very clear, I'm not talking about Asians right now. Oh fuck. It's tempting to do this race because it seems to be the shortest, but you will fail so many times before getting it that it's always better to do other ones. You can't completely avoid drag races because some of the blacklist racers will drag you to drag their nuts on your race and your face. I've already said enough. F tier. Milestones. These are another requirement to challenge a blacklist racer. These can be done while doing the bounty except the speed cam, which you can do anytime. For example, in this milestone, trade paint, you have to get touched by 35 different cops. Yes, every Need for Speed fan has been touched by black, white, Asians, and monsters. This is the hardest milestone in the game because it's one of the requirements to challenge Razor, but they are usually very easy. You will end up completing these without even knowing. They don't add anything new to the game by themselves, but they make pursuits more interesting. Bounty, the heart and the soul and the cock of this game. It's in the title, Most Wanted. Like one of your siblings is most wanted by your parents and the others are not. I'm sorry, bro.
Shut the fuck up, my nigga.
The final requirement to challenge a blacklist racer. From 20k to challenge Sunny to all the way 10 million to challenge Razor. You increase your bounty by police pursuits and completing milestones. How much bounty you get depends on the duration of the pursuit, how much damage you do to the city, how many cops you can take out, infractions, and your heat level. There are 6 heat levels in this game. Higher the heat level means harder chase, but you get more bounty. And there is a cap on your heat level depending on how much you have progressed through the story. Also, there are pursuit breakers all over the Rockport city to help you evade. Evading cops will initiate a cooldown period which must be finished in order to successfully escape. You can go to any hideout to increase your cooldown speed, or you can go to the safe house which will instantly finish your cooldown. If you get busted during the pursuit, you will lose all your earned bounty and you have to pay with either cash or marker. So if the cops bust in you 3 times, you will be pregnant. 3 markers and your car will be impounded. Every car has 3 markers and you get extra markers from one of those mystery rewards I talked about earlier. You can also get away after being busted by get out of free jail cards. Get out of jail free cards, which you also get from mystery rewards. Heat level 1 and 2 are available from the beginning of the game. During this level, only a few cops will chase you around in basic Fort Victoria. Taking one of them out will give you 250 bounty. If you take out multiple cops at the same time, you get bonus, and this applies to every heat level. During heat level 2, cops still drive the same car, but they become black. I guess being black is more athletic. Taking out a heat level 2 cop will give you 500 bounty, and they also introduce roadblocks. Heat level 3 will be available after beating Vic star 123.
What the fuck you say?
During which they will chase you with Pontiac GTO. Taking one of them out gives you
2,500
bounty, but they will also start using the Nightmare Fuel, the strongest enemy in the game, SUVs. During this video, you will often see me using this feature called Speed Breaker. Besides slowing time, it has other uses. What it does is it makes your car heavier, which makes getting through roadblocks and pushing cops a bit easier. Also, it helps in turning sharp corners, and it's the only way you can reliably drift in this game. And finally, during the races, you can use this to minimize your jump. And the reason for that is the longer your jump, the more speed you lose when you land. And minimizing it will let you keep most of your speed. Here is the comparison between jump with and without speed breaker. I usually use this for its primary purpose, slow motion, because I'm always scared of these SUVs jump scaring me out of nowhere. They give you a warning through the radio, but it's unreliable. SUVs are the reason why I stopped playing with manual transmission. During this level, they will only use light Rhino SUVs. If they are light, then pre-nerfed Nikocado Avocado was a weightless pixie. No matter how fast you are, if you hit them from the front, it's game over. I was only able to push them back with Ford GT, which is the heaviest car in the game. But you can take anyone down, black, white, heavy, different spectrum, doesn't matter if you hit them from behind. Heat level 4 is available after defeating Blacklist Racer 9. I don't know who is that, but I remember the car. It's a Mitsubishi. And I think he is considered to be the hardest Blacklist Racer to beat. During this level, they use the same cars, but they are black again. Taking them down gives you 5,000 bounty. And now they will start using heavy Rhino SUVs. Honestly, I never found out the difference between heavy and light SUVs, other than light gives you 10,000 bounty and heavy gives you 15. They introduce few more things during this heat level to make sure you shit your pants. That's why I'm not wearing anything right now. Number 1, spike strips, and number 2, a police helicopter. Hitting a spike means the run is dead. It completely kills the car unless only 2 of your tires are flat. Then it might be possible, or if you immediately reset your car, but that always gets me immediately busted. And evading a helicopter is also not easy. The best way to do it is by going to a tunnel when there is no cop around. Heat level 5. Available after defeating Blacklist Racer 5, they chase you with Chevrolet Corvette C6. How is the Chevrolet? Why is it not Chevrolet? Whatever though. Corvette C6 is also Webster's car. Imagine being chased by 20 Websters. That is exactly what this heat level is. These cops are brutal. On the bright side though, each one of them gives you
20,000
bounty. Yes, each one of them.
Each.
Yes! Hell yeah! Yes! Come on!
Which is fair when you need 10 million bounty to challenge Razor. They also use heavy SUVs as roadblocks and everything else mentioned in Heat Level 4. Heat Level 6. This is a special one, available after beating Razor and only for a limited time. Once you beat the game, it can't be played again. And guess what? The cops become black again. They give you 25k bounty, and there are supercharged SUVs. Yeah, another one of those. I don't know if they are any different. I didn't even know that there are 3 types of SUVs until I opened 10 tabs of Wiki and a tab of there is a monster under my skirt. But SUVs aren't the heaviest. The heaviest object in this game is Mia's huge f***ing heart. Honestly, if not for her, we would be living in footpath. I would love to live under her foot. The heaviest object in this game is a helicopter. It's so heavy that when it crashes onto something, it goes flying, even the big trucks. But it is possible to take it down by pursuit breakers. Taking out a bunch of cars at the same time is already pretty satisfying, but when you take out a helicopter, oh my god. It's like how a former porn star feels while giving birth. I'm not saying that they enjoy it, but it probably feels like nothing. And that's how you will feel, because you won't even realize that you took down a helicopter. There's no animation for it, there's no text, it just despawns. It gives you 1 lakh bounty. Did I just say 1 lakh? 100k bounty. I spent hours to take down a helicopter only to find out I had already done it before. They went through the effort of coding it but never animated it. Even then, bounty is my favorite thing in this game. It made this game what it is today, which is a dead game. I'm joking, it's not dead. The fact that I'm talking about it, it means it's dead. But what happens if you remove bounty from this game? Does it have anything else to offer? It does have something which most racing games don't. There is actual lore, story, and characters.
How's your car running?
It's not like Red Dead Redemption, Elden Ring, or My Big Sister Never Says No. It's quite short. It does have a lot of characters, but most of them don't have any dialogues. But it adds so much character to the game. Not as much as the piss filter though. If you remove it, the game loses most of its appeal. The game starts with Ronnie saying, "How's your car running?" And this guy laughs like it's the funniest shit ever. You are getting ready to race Razor.
Do not redeem the car!
The race begins and ends. Halfway through the race, Mia tells you that there is something wrong with your ride and you left a huge oil slick at the start line and your car stops working. Now they give you a bit more context. It is implied that you came from Need for Speed Underground and not from a womb like everyone else.
Well, look what the underground let loose.
And during one of your first races, you encounter Sergeant Cross and the side chick.
Oh man, did you pick the wrong street to run on?
I don't know, officer. I didn't really have a choice.
This is a nice car. Gauges, shifter, wheel.
Can't you be more respectful? This is my mom.
Is this all for show or is there something more I should know about?
I'd like to take a little peek under the hood.
What? There is a hood in this thing? So he says we'll check if the car is street legal, which obviously it isn't. But luckily something comes up and they have to leave. But before leaving, he scratches the car with the gayest walk imaginable.
Nice pinstripe.
Then we race Rant. He's one of the most iconic characters in this game. He has like 2 voice lines and we win. Razor's not happy. Mia spawns out of nowhere. Everyone is so confused. Who the fuck is she and why is she here? But we know that the protagonist knows her because when we arrived in the city, we were racing her. She tries to convince Razor to race us, but he denies. Ronnie explains that we can't challenge Razor because he is 15th on the BBC list. Yes, 15th. None of these people have made it to the blacklist yet. And before racing Razor, we have to earn some rep. So we end up racing
I got him.
to Sato. And we win. And then the present day, where we lose to Razor because he sabotaged our car. This is when we see the protagonist for the first time. Yeah, this is you. I hate when games make silent protagonists. They do it because not everyone will be able to relate with a talking protagonist, and people can imagine themselves as protagonists, which is bullshit in my opinion. This is why POV porn exists. I would rather see someone fucking than living in a delusion and pretending that I am the one who knocks. Anyway, your car gets taken away. Everyone is laughing at you, like in every anime during backstory arc.
For the one.
Petite Asian police mommy finally arrests you.
In the big house, baby.
Ah, hell nah, bro. Sometime later, definitely not the same day, week, or even month, because Razor went from my balls to my chest. I mean, number 15 to number 1, and everyone else has made it to the list of cotton field work. Eventually, the cops had to let us go. We probably sucked Sergeant Cross's major cock. Get it? Because Sergeant Major. Shut the fuck up. Bro, I think I have ADHD. I'm not able to complete this. According to Mia, they didn't have enough charges against us. She hooks you up with a starting car. You have a couple of options and a safe house. Now, through the entire game, nothing really happens. As I said before, blacklist characters are just images of random people. The game gives a short description about them, but as you know, I can't read. Unless it's a manga about how my homie became my wife. And after each race, you get some messages and voice notes just to remind you that this isn't just a 3D car simulator from Google Play Store. The story progresses at the very end of the game. When you defeat all the 15 blacklist racers, including Razor, he refuses to give you the keys.
What are you doing, man? I don't understand.
Mia steps in, and Razor finds out that she's clean shaved, and to his utter disbelief, he passes out. And then the biggest plot twist in the history of cinema. She is actually a cop. Oh my god, insane. I'm so hard right now. She lets us go. Agent Cock arrives and he isn't very happy. And then one of the few memes this game has was born.
I want every single unit after the guy.
Everyone?
Bro, how many people will you shuck if each give you $5? Everyone! If her skull didn't shatter from the sheer amount of frequency Mr. Cock produced, she is definitely deaf, yet she didn't flinch. Respect. This is where heat level 6 will be available, and no matter what you do, you can't evade cops until you get call from Mia. She tells you that you can't stay in the city anymore and you have to go to the bridge and do the bridge incidents.
What a fucking
Since all the cops are black and this is the only way. So you do what mommy tells you to. Jump across the bridge and escape. This part of the map will only available after you get a call from Mia. I went there just a minute early and it was still blocked. And that's the whole story. It was a story. Somehow, it was longer than my will to live. Now's the fun part. Let's discuss how you all gonna get me a girlfriend. Disclaimer, I'm not a car guy, not a cow guy, okay? Stop it. I don't know how cars work in real life. I don't know how anything works in real life. My life is just being indoors, laughing at my own jokes, jerking off, and growing mushrooms under my bed. And I'm only going to talk about cars I tried. Now, what car do you think is the best in this game? The obvious answer would be BMW M3 GTR or Carrera GT. But these are the cars you get at the very end of the game. The best car in this game is actually Golf. If you can get it as your starting car, you get 30,000 cash at the beginning of the game. But if you have played Need for Speed Underground or have a save file on your PC, you get 10,000 extra cash. So you can buy Golf as your first car. But if you don't, you can still get it after defeating the first boss, Sunny. This car can easily carry you through the entire game, if you upgrade it, of course. Well, any car can be good if you upgrade it to the max, but Golf is one of the better ones. It's like that iconic pink vibrator that goes ding, ding, dee-dee-dee-dee. There is a reason why every speedrunner uses it. I'm talking about Golf, not the vibrator. I mean, Kuru HS, one of the speedrunner, beat this game with stock Golf twice. This car is the main character of this game. As the game progresses, you can make it better and better. But why buy a value car in a video game? Nobody ever became millionaire by saving money. Dumbass. Gamble it all on Lotus Elise, the best mid-game car. You can buy it after beating number 8, Jewels, and when maxed out, it's probably the top 3 in my opinion, because to me, top speed isn't everything. That said, this car has amazing top speed, insane acceleration, good grip, and one of the best handling in the game. A little side note, my Lotus got this good because of Junkman upgrades. These are the limited upgrades you get from performance markers after beating Black Racer list. I was surprised that during the race with JV and Earl, cops didn't show up. I was expecting that I don't even have to do anything. Heat level 5 cops will show up. Suspect is a 5'11" black male. I repeat, suspect is a black male. Suspect is ramming my vehicle. Officer down, officer down. Where was I? Yeah, Junkman upgrades. You will find these in the back rooms. Yeah, this game had back rooms before the back rooms had back rooms. I compared Elise to a lot of blacklisted cars immediately after beating them, and every time it was better. Some cars were faster but lacked handling or acceleration or had a terrible grip, but Elise doesn't have any of those. The only downside Elise has is that it's a lightweight car. And if you know, SUVs show no mercy against lightweight cars. This doesn't mean it's bad for pursuits. This car reaches top speed so fast that it can go through roadblocks, like I would have gone through classrooms if I had an AR-15. Elise, when fully upgraded, is just slightly worse than M3 GTR. I compared both without nitro, and there was only 1 second difference. Now keep in mind that M3 has stock nitro and it cannot be upgraded. So I compared some maxed out cars with nitro, and these were the rules. Our home is the start point, and I was holding W before I even spawned to avoid human errors. This traffic light is where I started using nitro, and this bridge or its shadow is the finish line, and these were the results. At number 1 spot we have Ford GT with the top speed of 375 km per hour. Number 2 is Carrera GT with the top speed of 373 km per hour, followed by Lotus Elise with 366, followed by Gallardo. What's up with the pronunciation? 375, and at last M3 with 339, which is expected because it has the least amount of nitro. Also, these aren't the actual top speed, they can reach much higher. This is just for the testing purposes. But what if, this will blow your mind, okay? What if I tell you that once my friend stabbed my ass with a pen and I got an infection, I had to show my asshole to a 50-year-old doctor. I was 50. Despite the huge gap in top speeds, somehow all these cars crossed the finish line almost at the same time, except the Gallardo, which was a second slower than everyone else. Elise and Ford GT tied with 21.416, followed by Carrera GT with 21.650, and then M3 GTR with 21.666, which is insane because, again, trash nitro. They almost have no difference. This is an example of top speed isn't everything. Now, the difference might be bigger in longer races, but every car managed to make up for their flaws. Elise and M3 both lacked top speed, but had the best start. Ford GT, despite being heavier than Lara's titties, had the highest top speed. Carrera GT doesn't excel in one particular stat, but it doesn't have any flaws either. And Gallardo was a second late, only because of the start worse than my morning coffee when I don't cream on it. But during the races you get to rev your engine and do the perfect start, which this car desperately needs. I didn't do it, just to be fair. It's not like I can't do it. They used to call me driving skills because no woman has ever discovered me. This is why I love this game. Every car has something unique about it and can be upgraded to compete with the top cars. Some honorable mention before we talk about Most Wanted 2012. Viper and Corvette both are solid. but forgotten late game cars because you get them at the worst time possible. At this point you will very likely have a better car, and if you want to upgrade then there are much better options. Both Lambos have amazing acceleration and surprisingly they are good for pursuits too. Mustang GT looks amazing, sounds amazing. That's about it. I mean, if you drive it, I respect that. It's a skill car because it's harder to control. I used it to go to the shop and buy Elise. I had so much fun. Buckle up, fellas. This is gonna be a quickie. I'm not gonna give it any more time than it deserves. Okay? Goodbye. Let's discuss what's good about this game. Graphics. These games are 7 years apart and it shows that some places look insanely good, especially city areas, considering this game is 14 years old, but then there are places which look like this. These textures look like skin of someone's grandma who survived Nagasaki. The world has a lot more detail, but I found Safe Haven, this city, less dynamic than Rockport. Most Wanted 2005 had 36 cars and this has 41. Cars in this game are highly detailed and they have a lot more complexity. I mean, they are a lot more distinguishable in terms of how they feel, and some cars are straight up better than the others even if you upgrade them, and you can only enter races with cars of same tier. For example, a supercar cannot compete alongside a sports car unless you are challenging a blacklist racer. Then you can build anything you want. Cars are harder to drive. The races themselves are more challenging, thus have a higher skill ceiling. Drifting is possible and very satisfying. Blacklist also exists in this game, and after you defeat them, you have to take them down in order to get their car, which I think is a good change, but I'd still prefer gambling, and if they manage to get away, eventually you will find them again, just roaming on the streets. Also, this game has some of the best car reveal renders I've ever seen. And some of the most autistic ones too. They were smoking some strong shit when they made this. But honestly, I like them. And that's all it managed to improve upon its predecessor. If you can even call it a predecessor. Everything else is a downgrade. Story doesn't exist. A single character doesn't exist. Progression doesn't exist. Sexuality after I see a hole doesn't exist. Racing games get a lot of criticism for their progression, so they did a 200 IQ move and they completely removed it. 5 minutes into the game and you can get a Bugatti Veyron. Cars are just placed all over the city waiting for you to claim them. And unlike 2005 where you had to slowly make your way up by challenging each racer, in this game, if you have enough bounty or speed points, you can challenge anyone you want. Take a look at this. It's my penis. As you can see, there are 0 attempts on this race and it's Blacklist Racer 6. I have never challenged him, but since I have enough speed points, I can challenge number 5. And now I am destroying his ass because I have the best car in the game. Just to confirm this, I searched on Google but didn't find anything. And then I asked AI, but it says the otherwise. But as you can see, I can skip Blacklist. AI will take over the world. Yeah, by lying, I guess. Lying as bitch. The only thing that you need to do in this game is collect speed points, which you can do just by police pursuits or just roaming around. The game has nothing to do with Most Wanted or even Need for Speed, because there is no need for speed when you can just mindlessly run around and challenge number 1. This is just a driving simulator, nothing more. I couldn't even finish the game because there is no motivation, nothing to grind for. The only form of rewards you get is upgrades, but why even upgrade anything when you start with broken supercars? This game doesn't have a garage or a safe house. The way you upgrade or change your cars is by opening this menu. Also, there is 0 customizability. It has options, but it only changes stats. I don't think you can even change body appearance. 2005 had more customizability than women these days, like custom face, lips, hips, boobs. Like there is even a cock upgrade. To change colors you have to go through repair shop and it will change it to something random. There is no way to control it. For some cars you have to win races to unlock paint jobs, and even worse, there are some upgrades that you can only get by placing 2nd or 3rd, which is harder than finishing first because these NPCs always stick to each other. Why not make it so that finishing first gives you all 3 or 2 rewards? This made me so angry. But this isn't even the worst thing. The worst thing about this game is crash cams. Every time you crash, you get this cam for a few seconds and it gets triggered with the tiniest bump. These things are gatekeeping you from having fun, and it happens so often that supercars are undrivable, as if they aren't already hard enough to steer. This was so painful that it reminded me of the day when I screwed myself, which was also the day I found out my asshole doesn't like screws. I ended up downloading a mod to disable these just so I can play the fucking game. Even the mods couldn't fix it. And lastly, the police pursuits. It's okay, it's not bad. I ask you a question. What was the best thing about police pursuits in 2005? For me, it was crushing shit ton of cops with a giant fucking donut. So in this game, they removed it. There are no pursuit breakers. In fact, the game almost has no destructibles. Cops in this game are absolutely fucking canon. They don't care about anything. Their life, civilians' life, your life. They just want to end it all. Roadblocks are way harder. Going through them is not satisfying at all. Cops now deploy spikes from their vehicle. Even after your tires pop, you can still drive, or you can go to any repair station and it will fix your car. Takedowns are lame as hell. You just need to touch a moving cop and it will die, but that applies to you as well. But for some reason, if you hit a traffic car, even from behind, you will get a crash cam. It doesn't make any sense. And why are there so many ramps that will lead you to a fucking wall? There's no speed breaker like 2005. This game also has 6 race events. 5 actually. Because one of them is just a police pursuit. Circuits and sprints are the same. Time trial is same as toll booth. Instead of a speed trap, they have speed run, where you have to maintain high average speed throughout the course instead of speeding up only at the traffic cams. Personally, I prefer speed cams because I think it's more strategic. Ambush is just a pursuit, so it doesn't count. And there is drift attack, which I think is a nice addition. But that's all there is to it. A few blogs online talk about this game being released unfinished. Guess what? So was I, a premature baby. The game doesn't lack content, but everything else. Even the content it has will be gatekept by its own progression and reward system. Okay, see you next year. Goodbye. Hajime Moshite.